Do me a favor and ask your instructor this one question. How does the martial arts build discipline? Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, my name is Sensei Anthony Thomas. Welcome to the Real Karate Podcast, where we talk about all things martial arts related because that is important. And I want to talk about this discipline thing because when you look at martial arts, the marketing of martial arts, the selling of martial arts, most people don't want to admit that a significant portion of the martial arts is about learning how to fight. That's a huge portion of it. Martial arts mean a study of the warlike arts. They want to focus on things like discipline and confidence and fitness, and those are great things. Like, that's beautiful. That's great. That's a part of it, especially for people who start at an older age. But I want you to ask your instructor, how do the martial arts build discipline? Now, for me, the answer is there's really no portion of the class which is like, this is the discipline course, this is the discipline portion, this is the curriculum about discipline. We talk about discipline, yes, but here's the thing. The discipline is in the act. The discipline is showing up every day or however many times you train when you're tired and don't really feel like it. The discipline is pushing yourself even when your instructor or your teammates are not pushing you. That is the discipline. For the most part, there's no etched out portion of the class that says, and now we're teaching discipline. No. A lot of people define discipline in a number of ways. One of my favorite ways is when Mike Tyson, I believe, said, discipline is doing something that you hate like you love it. And that makes a lot of sense for people that do the relentless grind of boxing, right? You wake up, you run, you shadow box, you hit the pads, you spar. Twice a day, 6 days a week. That's how it gets done. Another definition, more or less, of discipline is seeing what needs to be done and doing it in a timely manner without being told to do it. And that works especially well for children, right? Or for younger folks. And I like those two. I kind of use those two, not interchangeably, but I use them together. Getting up and training as often as you do, as hard as you can, that is discipline. There's a popular train of thought that it takes 21 days nonstop to create a habit. Now, if you're not doing martial arts every single day, then reasonably it would take a few months to build a habit in terms of equivalent time. But the discipline in martial arts comes in a lot of ways just like joining the military. You get up and you do certain things in a certain order every day because that's how it needs to be done. There's an understanding of what needs to be done, and you do that thing without question, without being told to do it, without being ordered to do it. And that's the discipline in martial arts. One of the things I see with kids these days is that they feel like they should question every single thing. Now, I don't have a problem with questions. I encourage questions. But people have to understand hierarchy. Sensei does not mean teacher in the traditional sense exactly. It means person who's lived before with more experience than you. So I can see how Americans land on teacher, but if you look at the two characters that make up sensei, sen and sei, it's closer to that idea that I just spoke about. So understanding hierarchy, understanding getting up and doing it just because it has to be done. Training is getting up and practicing and training because it has to be done, because you understand that there's no way to get good at this. I see my kids that don't tie knots very well because they've spent their whole life wearing Crocs. Tying the gi, tying shoes, whatever that thing is, they have to do it until they can do it without thinking. Tying their belt. For some of you instructors out there, you know what I'm talking about. Watching these kids with their belts tied every which way but correctly. It comes from the fact that they don't have any reps. They don't have the kind of reps that we had tying laced shoes, because most kids wear Crocs, most kids wear flip-flops all the time. so they don't have to practice every single day of tying shoes. It's discipline that makes them practice even when they're not in class. It's discipline which gets them up and asks their parents to take them to class. That is discipline. There's no magic portion of class which just automatically instills discipline. So ask your teacher. Ask any martial arts school. Ask the instructor. If you're a new parent and they put discipline building, ask them, how exactly do you build discipline? If they cannot explain that to you, then maybe you should look for another school. And that's my thoughts on it. Until next time, train hard, stay safe, but the most important thing always is to please be kind to yourselves and each other. And I'll see you next time.